Vaccine policy advising teachers not to get their shots.
Local 10 News anchor Louis Aguirre is in the newsroom with this developing story.
Yeah, Calvin and Nicole, tonight a firestorm of controversy over an email that went out to faculty and staff at the exclusive Miami private school, Centner Academy, warning its staff against taking any of the COVID-19 vaccines, saying it will no longer employ anyone who has received the shots. Centner Academy has campuses in the Design District and Edgewater. It's very pricey, with tuition starting at almost $25,000 a year for pre-K and elementary school students. Co-founder Layla Centner sent an email to parents today outlining the school's policy on vaccines, basically alleging, without citing any scientific evidence, that vaccinated persons may be transmitting something from their bodies that could harm others, impacting fertility and the reproductive systems of women and also the development of children. Centner basically put school staff on notice Thursday with this email saying, quote, "If you want to get the vaccine, please wait until the school year ends, and you will not be able to return to school until clinical trials are complete if a position..."
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shule, a.k.a. the Esoteric Noetic, a.k.a. the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mom. Drop some comments, let us know what it is. Oh! Interesting turn of events. It seems private schools now, like Centner Academy, are reporting that they will not allow their faculty to come to the university. And they're putting certain restrictions in place for people that choose to get the boom shakalaka. You know, not long ago, I made a joke that I didn't want to hang out with people that had been boom shakalaka because I don't know what's going to happen to them. Right? I was saying that facetiously, but it seems like this is a real, legitimate concern. And look, granted, the mainstream media is saying that this is not grounded in the science. How dare you suggest such a ridiculous thing? It's not science. It is 100% safe. And how dare you not allow people into your establishments if they're doing the right thing and getting boom shakalaka? Well, understandably, where people have reservations about hiring people that have not received the jab, understandably, some people can have reservations about hiring people that have received the jab, about allowing them into their establishments. Now, you know, a lot of people want to play this game that it's their right. It's their right to go to work if they refuse to get the jab, or if they do get the jab, they should not be denied the right to come to work. But the reality is, look, depending on what kind of agreement you have with your employer, once you get the government out of the picture, I think if we want to be completely consistent about this thing, I think we need to allow the free market to decide this. Now, if certain private organizations want to set their rules and say that you can't come into their establishment because they have fears about you taking the jab, and other organizations won't allow you to come into work, won't allow you to come into their businesses unless, of course, you had taken the jab. I mean, if we want to be consistent about this, you have to let things play out. I'm not going to play this game where I support laws that I like that are in favor of my cause. Look, granted, I realize that we're in a war right now, a war of the minds. I think if we want to be real about this, this is how this stuff needs to play out. It's an information war. Now, granted, I believe the information will come out, and I think eventually people will start making the right decision. But I think things like what's going on in this university, this academy, are what needs to happen. Now, I'm not going to get into the science. Now, a lot of people are saying that this policy is not grounded in the science. Well, as I've often said, the science is not subject to one entity. It shouldn't be centralized. There are going to be different organizations, different people that have different perspectives on what is the best course of action. And all I will say is that whereas a lot of people think that it's absolutely insane to think that there's any dangers in taking the boom shakalaka. Now, I'm not gonna make my argument either way here, because let's face it, this is YouTube. But it's interesting that VAERS, VAERS, reports that 86,080 issues have been reported as of the 4th. This is a American date system. So this is the 16th of April this year, about 87,000 issues have been reported from the Boom Shakalaka, including hospitalizations, urgent care, Bell's palsy, anaphylaxis, and the permanent condition known as death. Now, I'm not saying this. This is what VAERS is saying, so I just want to be very clear about this. Now, the Department of Health and Human Services tells us that VAERS represents only 1% of adverse reactions. So, you do the math. Now, granted, this thing is 100% safe. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the mainstream report, right? It's safe. Safe. Now, personally, I think safety is a subjective word. I could say that asbestos is safe. I mean, this is just my opinion in regards to the word safety. I just want to make clear over here. So when someone says that something is safe, it's not right or wrong. It's not a Boolean. It's a subjective construct. It's an opinion. So, I mean, the mainstream media, they could be telling the truth. It just comes down to what level of risk you want to take. Now, personally, I think the level of risk you want to take should be up to you. If you want to take something, if you want to take an experimental vaccine, by all means do so. But as soon as you want to dictate to me that I have to take this thing, otherwise I won't be allowed into the public, you and I, we have a problem. We have a problem. And all I can say is it is good to see a situation now where private organizations are coming out and they're setting their own rules. I think it's understandable that they are expressing apprehension over people taking this thing. Interesting world we are living in, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting world we are living in. And it's going to be interesting how this plays out over the next few years. Are we going to have two classes of people? The vaxxed and the unvaxxed? A vax-side? Vaxpartide, I've heard it referred to as. I mean, look, it's not fun when we talk about discrimination like this, but the reality is discrimination is a fact of life. It's how we make judgments. Call it discernment, call it what you will. But if I choose not to associate with certain people because I believe that they are putting me at risk, and it has to do with a lack of awareness sometimes. We have discernment, we have discretion because we are basing our discretion off of the information that we have. We don't know for certain whether or not someone is putting us at risk, but we make judgments about prejudices sometimes about what someone is likely to do, whether or not someone is likely to put us at risk by passing something onto us that we don't want. Someone is likely to act a particular way. And I think we should have, in fact, we should, if we're being completely consistent about this, have a right to make these judgments, to make these discernments. And I say this because I know a lot of people get frustrated when they hear about being denied access into certain organizations. Now, provided if they are private entities, this isn't some coercion from the government, then this is the stuff that, if we're being consistent, should be allowed to happen. And I think it's incumbent upon us to boycott industries that do things that we consider as a community to be unfavorable. But we don't have a right to dictate what they can and cannot do. Don't buy the products of businesses that don't want to allow you into their establishments unless you've been boom shakalaka. If you were someone that believes that it is a great idea for the community to get the boom shakalaka, then private companies, private schools like Centner should be boycotted. And it's incumbent upon you to not go to their schools. But what it's not incumbent upon you to do is to try to get the government to regulate what these private businesses can and can't do. That's how we get to this problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we get to a situation where the government thinks it can regulate what you put in your body. Things which a few decades ago would have been ruled out by the general public as being absolutely immoral. Quite frankly, the most immoral thing that you could possibly do. But over time, through the obfuscation of rights, through the obfuscation of the understanding of the natural law, through this legalese system, we are now in a situation where people think that they can actually dictate through the government what you can put in your body. We are in a situation where people think they can coerce private individuals, private businesses, to decide what they can and cannot do in terms of allowing certain people into their establishments and so forth. And that is where I see the issue lying. The issue lies with not in the science. I mean, granted, it does lie in the science and the fact that we're not really adhering to the science, the scientific method, this system where you have the default position to be constantly questioning the default position. We have debate. We have this decentralized science. Now we have a centralized science, the science of the priesthood, scientism, where the government, where certain interest groups influence the outcome and get to say whether or not your ideas are in line with the science. And now we have this worldview where anytime you express something that goes against the science, the worldview, you get censored, you get flagged, you get called a conspiracy theorist. That's not science. What we want is an open system, freedom of information. But what we do not want is a situation where a group of people get to coerce you into doing things that violate your human rights. That's something that I'm not in line with. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about these recent events. What do you think about Centner Academy? Just briefly, I want to mention a few other things that are going on in the world in terms of this political climate with the Boom Shakalaka. Now it seems that secondary schools are beginning their Boom Shakalaka campaign. Pfizer says trials for its Boom Shakalaka in children aged 12 to 15 showed 100% efficacy. 100%. That's a rather bold claim. And a strong immune response. Interesting. Secondary school pupils will reportedly be offered the Boom Shakalaka 19 Boom Shakalations from September under plans being developed by the NHS. Health service officials are planning documents which include a measure to offer a single dose of the Pfizer jab to children aged 12 and older when the new school year starts, according to the Sunday Times. Wow. Now, my concern is, are parents going to have any right to decide whether or not their children get Boom Shakalaka? Because provided these parents are the guardians of these children, I mean, are schools now going to be just offering this stuff up to the children and saying that, without advising the parents and saying that, look, well, it's a public health and safety measure, and now, these children just have to get vaccinated, Boom Shakalaka, unless, of course, they do, they're going to be discriminated against. Interesting, because I know that this is the case in certain schools. This is what has been happening. So it seems like the world is getting Boom Shakalaka, but there are definitely certain institutions that are saying, we don't want you Boom Shakalaka. The resistance is definitely present, ladies and gentlemen. The question is whether or not we are going to be in a two-class society, or whether or not at some point this is just going to be mandated for everyone, whether or not we're going to be living in a society where you don't even have the right to choose what you put in your own body. The reality, or what is going to happen, rests in your hands, whether or not you will have the courage to stand on the river of truth, and when asked to give up your sovereignty, whether or not you say no to tyranny, nay to tyranny, or whether or not you comply and say, yes, master, if for the greater good, I do what you tell me, man. I do anything you tell me to do, master. Yes, I take the Boom Shakalaka. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, peace out, keep it real, don't drive and text. This is your boy, the Christian, the esoteric, noetic. Peace out, keep it real. Check out the Telegram group, check out the links below, check out the Hive. Check us out. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.